Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this new session of the CIVITAS Public Transport Cluster. My name is Alberto Sule. I am an innovation manager at the Urban Mobility, and I am also the CIVITAS Public Transport Cluster leader. And I'm going to be moderating today's session. And I'm also with my colleague Maxi René, also from Urban Mobility, supporting from the backstage. So before to start, and just so that we're all aligned and on the same page, this session will be recorded because we want to share it afterwards with all the cities and participants of the two projects that are part of the public transport cluster, Upper and Spine. This is a session that it's closed, so it has not been actively promoted, let's say, in social media, because we wanted to keep it close to the projects in order also to foster a little bit the discussions and the exchange. We have quite of a packed agenda. You will see it in a minute, but the idea is that we can all participate, so we could encourage participation. After each one of the blocks, we've saved a little bit of time for Q&A, and we will also have a group discussion at the end. So we could really encourage you to make use of this space to raise any doubt, any question, or to raise also your experience on a topic such interesting as behavioral change. But before we start going deep into the topic, I would like first to make a very quick introduction about what CIVITAS is and about the thematic clusters. So basically, as all of you might know already, CIVITAS is the flagship initiative of the European Commission when it comes to sustainable urban mobility in Europe. And we structure the CIVITAS through thematic clusters. Particularly, we structure the CIVITAS project in thematic clusters. And this is because we want to achieve certain objectives that you can see in the screen. So basically, we want to create strong links between the different projects so that they can actually facilitate this cross-pollination of ideas. But we also want to promote knowledge exchange. So if we can go to the end of the slide, perhaps, so that we can have all the objectives exactly. Thank you. So we also want to promote knowledge exchange, as I was saying, sharing of findings, results, best practices. Also try to promote cooperation in order to perhaps identify these things that might not be evident at the first time, but in which the two projects can actually collaborate and further work together. And also we want to facilitate the dissemination of the results of the two projects. In the next slide, you can see the different clusters that we have. So we have one for governance and integrated planning, one for logistics, one for new mobility services, one for urban public space design, and one for public transport, which is the one that we are having today. And we have Upper and Spine. And you can also see all the different projects that are in each one of them and the different synergies that have been created, like, for example, with the Net Zero Cities and the EU missions. If we go to the next slide, here you can see the two projects that are part of this cluster. You know them all because you're coming from this project, so you know them better than us almost. So basically, both Upper and Spine, they try to improve innovation and promote innovation within public transport in order to make it more attractive and accessible to all users. In the next slide, we can go now to the agenda more in detail for today. So here you can see the different topics that we're gonna cover. We're gonna be talking about behavioral change because in the previous session that we had on this cluster with the coordinators of Upper and Spine, we identified that this was a common interesting topic for both projects, and we wanted to give it more space and to create this moment in which we could all reflect about it and we could change challenges, opportunities, but also exchange on best practices. So this is why we came up with this agenda. As I said, it's quite packed. There are lots of interventions, but I think that there are different points of views. So it's not just about experiences from cities and explaining how they did it, which we will also have it, but we'll also have some resources that are available for cities, like, for example, the learning program that the Net Zero Cities is doing on behavioral change, and that can be available to all the cities participating in the CIVITAS cluster. So I will start framing a little bit the topic. Then, as I said, we will jump into the experience of Net Zero Cities, and we will have also a more methodological approach on how to address behavioral change that is currently being implemented in Upper. We'll have two more examples from Spine, and then we have a group discussion. And the idea is that we finish at 12. more or less. Okay. After each one of the blocks, we'll have a Q&A. So again, I encourage you to participate and to make a sober use of this session. So in the next slide, framing the topic. Here we wanted to put everyone more or less in the same page. We've all talked a lot about behavioral change and behavioral nudging, but one of the definitions that we like a lot in EIT, and there might be others, but it's the one that you can see here in the screen. So these subtle and science-backed interventions that encourage individuals to make more sustainable choices. Why do we believe this is important? Because generally transport policies are more connected to infrastructure or regulations, which are definitely important to move towards these sustainable changes in the way we move. But mobility choices are also shaped or have a lot to do with habits and perceptions. So going towards this psychological component, it's very important. 3 ways of doing it. There might be others, but 3 that are relatively common. It's through gamification, also through reminders, tailored reminders, but also by providing personalized information that is user-friendly, accessible, and reliable. In the next slide, you can see some examples that we have been promoting at the idea. I will not go into the detail. You will have the slides afterwards. But for example, the way you can use mobility as a service applications to put together all the different mobility options in a city, together with showing them positive environmental impact that moving sustainable can create. This can generate an impact, like for example, in the case of Akureyri in Iceland, of 10% modal shift from cars to public transport. Something similar happened, for example, in Helsingborg, when working with a company that was actually sending specific messages, providing advices on the cycling routes to go to schools, made a change in the way parents were actually bringing kids to schools. Here you can see more or less 32% of parents that were using this application in Helsingborg changed the way they were moving towards more sustainable way. But also other applications, like for example, Walk 15 digital wallet that is promoting walkability, that it's doing it through gamification and rewards, can also have a positive impact. These are just some examples. Today we're gonna see many other, and with this, I think that we can jump into the next model, which is the Net Zero City Learning Program. We have Rohit Mondal and Sabrina Brecciani from the Politecnico di Milano who have joined us today. Thank you very much for being here with us. And I will give them the floor now so that they can present this program connected to behavioral change. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Albert, and good morning, everyone. Maybe we can start with the next slide because we just have a couple of slides to present. So on behalf of the Polyme team, we're pleased to share that the Net Zero Cities online course has been live since the 16th of September. And in fact, as we speak right now, one of the sessions is being delivered. We can move on to the next one, please. Right. So the course is designed to help European cities accelerate their journey to climate neutrality, and the course can be taken by municipalities, researchers, or consultant free of cost. Altogether, it's structured with 26 different sessions that spans across 6 different modules, and each module of the course comprises a core session and some optional spotlight sessions as well. The course has been also designed for progressive project-based learning, and it also offers flexible participation. So for those who are interested in only on certain topics, they're free to attend only those topics. However, however, a certificate is only awarded to those participants who take all the 6 core modules. So at the end, there is a certificate that is awarded and accredited by UPM of Madrid upon completion of the entire core modules. And we can move on to the next slide, please. Right, and in short, this is a brief overview of the 6 modules that are a part of the course. We have the link also shared in the chat. But just to give you a very quick overview, Module 1 is focused on climate transition goals. Module 2 is focused on building capacity for the transition. The third module is focused on designing an action plan. The fourth one looks into solutions categorized by emission domains, and by solutions I mean both technical and non-technical solutions. The fifth module is focused on funding and financing, and finally the sixth module is on multi-level governance. And all of this information is available on the link on the Net Zero Cities portal page. And yeah, I think that was our short presentation. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, we're happy to take them now.
Feel free to raise your hand, or if you also want to put your questions in the chat, that's also perfectly fine. Well, okay, I see one question from Francisco.
Hi, thank you. Francisco from Valladolid in Spain. My question is very simple. It's about that if this modular thought to be for new cities that incorporate to the mission strategy, or in our case that we are just a mission city. I don't know if this kind of modules or something like that could be some useful for us or not, in order to evaluate if we can transmit this information to other areas of the municipality and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I can take the question, right? Yes, the course is specifically designed for all other cities, because the mission cities already receive some support through, for example, the seasonal schools and the tailored support. However, we have many people from mission cities, more than 50, who have applied to attend the course, and of course they are very welcome, so it's open to anyone. The aim of the course is to support new cities, or as we call them, mission-minded cities, in developing their own action plan. So the mission cities already have their action plan, but if you have new people that you have to onboard, or maybe they were not familiar with the process, it could still be useful for them. In addition, also for those who sign up, let's say, for the entire course, we actually check who are from mission cities, and we eventually direct them to specific courses for the mission cities. So it's for both.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sabrina, for your answer. So I think that we can perhaps move to the next point of the agenda. Now we'll have a presentation from the city of Crans by Polona, who will explain how they have been approaching behavioral change also as part of the mission. So Polona, thank you very much for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. And hi, everyone. Can we move? Oh, yes, that's it. So as already said, my name is Polona, and I work for the Office for Development and Smart Communities, which is part of the city of Kranj. I'm also part of the internal mission cities team. And just for your perspective, city of Kranj is the third largest city in Slovenia, and it's home to around 57,000 inhabitants. And it's covering an area of approximately 151 square kilometers. As you can see from the photo, a significant share of the city's territory is dedicated to green and blue areas. So we have lots of forests, we have lots of rivers, we have natural landscapes. But this is also an origin of important issue, as many residents perceive Kranj as already green enough, and they often question the importance of issues we are trying to address. Next slide, please. So Kranj is also a proud owner of the mission label. So for the ones that don't know what that means, is that our Climate City contract, which consists of 3 documents, an action plan, investment plan, and commitment, seems realistic and also ready for implementation. But as we figured out that more important than the documents itself was actually the preparation of the CCC, as for the first time for the city, that meant that we calculated the CO2 emissions of our actions. And this was a turning point, shifting our role from just being seen merely as providers of infrastructure and policies, also towards us delivering services that enhance the well-being of citizens. And this is also important. It is also important to note that, as you can see from the graph, that the transport accounts 29% of all CO2 emissions in Kran, which makes it one of our most pressing challenges. And of course, not everything went smoothly through this process. We realized that to achieve the real change, we must break down silos within the administration. Here's also a catch. When I say we, I mean the Department for Development and Smart Communities. This is 10 people out of 140-member administration, which is far from enough to drive the change alone. So we quickly understood that while much of the climate conversation focuses on behavioral changes of citizens, we should first look inward and how our city administration staff adapt to our or their ways of thinking and working. So this shift inside the municipal structure is just as critical, and it lays the foundation for broader transformation across the community. There is still mystery of how to do that. We tried by integrating new approaches in our work processes. Some work and some don't. And it's on us to actually figure this out over time. Next slide, please. So we began addressing behavioral change in mobility for many reasons. As in most cities, mobility touches the daily lives of vast majority of the population. And at the same time, the municipality itself has important levers to influence how people move. So we know that encouraging changes requires a careful balance between carrots and sticks. And we try to combine positive incentives with necessary restrictions. We also understand that the change takes time, but choosing the right timing can make all the difference in how new habits take root. And there's also the election, that the timing of the election, that's really important, of when and how we choose the right actions. So the key question actually that we face is also who the real drivers are. Is it just the institutions, the communities, or individuals themselves? So you have a draft of the current modal split in Kran. So this was taken as part of the preparation of the new mobility strategy in year 25. And as you can see, the challenges become very clear. Today, a little less than 60% of trips are made by car. So we are very car-owned city, while only 4% of the trips are made on foot and only about 2 by bicycle. So even though 27% of the trips are made by bus, we must emphasize that it's mostly students and school population that uses the public transport in Kran. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we come to the projects, two very important projects, Upscale and Creative. They were both financed through European Commission, through Net Zero Cities. And we began preparing the mobility as a service application. Even though our first motivation was just very simple, is to enable citizens and public transport users to see the live location of buses. It might sound ridiculous to some of the cities because they have that available, but it is important for us because, well, firstly, it's not available, but secondly, buses in Kran are often late, and passengers are left on bus stations not knowing whether they have missed the bus or it's simply delayed. As you can see in the picture, you could see it in the previous slide, actually. So the current accessibility of schedules, whether it's on paper or in digital form, it's far from user-friendly, you could say that. So the mass application, however, goes much further. It not only integrates city and intercity bus lines, so it's supported by the city-owned bike sharing system, and it also calculates the average CO2 emissions of each trip, which gives the users a clear picture of the environmental impact of their mobility choices. So even though the application is technically ready, all the data, the live data, so the data from the buses, the GPS locations from the buses, is not totally integrated yet into the system, which is why our whole PR campaign is being delayed and is just about to be ready whenever the system works as a whole. So looking ahead, we actually aim to extend the system with the data from the neighboring cities, their bus networks, eventually also from the trains and the connections, so that the application can cover the wider community region. So just to give you a picture, there's around 25,000 people commute daily into and out of the city for work, and majority of them rely on personal cars. So thank you. This is it from my side. So if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Polona, for your presentation. Now it's time for Q&A. Again, feel free to raise your hand or to put a question in the chat. Well, if not, in the meantime, I do have a question. So
Okay.
yeah, no, I was actually wondering, because you were presenting the mass application, and I was wondering if you already have like some data on how this application has influenced so far on the change, on the behavioral change, and if not, also if you have faced some. You were mentioning the integration of data that has not been completed yet, but I don't know if you face some other type of barriers in trying to promote this behavioral change so far.
So unfortunately, no, we don't have the data, since we haven't actually, we did launch it, but we haven't do the marketing part of the mass application, so it hasn't been spread through the users. As I said, we're waiting for the live data from the GPS from the buses to start working, and we're actually stuck at the point that the bus drivers need to log into their routes every time they use the bus. So if only half of the bus drivers do that, then it doesn't make sense to actually marketize this. So this is one thing. The other thing is that, getting the data has been the biggest clutch for us so far. It's not that the data is not available, it's just the reluctance of stakeholders to actually share it, even though it's anonymized and paid by the city. So we're not asking for something, that needs a magic stick to provide. It's just something that we believe it's ours to own. And we follow the GDPR and everything, but there are just so many obstacles still. So the other thing is, as I already said, we are a very car-owned city, and also the country itself. I think since we are in the month or the week of the European mobility, there's a lot of data available by itself. So in the last 25 years, the car ownership actually doubled in Slovenia. So instead of reversing the trend of going down, and for people start using the buses and the bikes, we actually keep buying more cars. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's true that the dynamics perhaps in this particular case make it more
so
challenging.
we're trying with nudging, as it was said, and you mentioned it. So I think we're hoping, and we're really positive, because with anyone who we presented, it's like, oh, finally I'm going to be able to see when the bus actually comes to the bus station in 2025. So.
Thanks. I see that we have a question from Mircea.
Yes, hello, good morning. Thank you very much, Polona, for the very interesting presentation. My name is Mircea Steviu. I work for UITP and I'm the coordinator of Upper. Thank you very much for this. As I said, but unfortunately, some of the challenges you mentioned, I recognized a little bit from the various measures we have tried to implement in our project. How successfully though, and I hope that the rest of the session and the discussion will show some of the ways in which these challenges were tackled a little bit. But I want to know from you, because you said getting the data that backs up and that makes the mass application work was a big challenge. Can you tell us some of the strategies or some of the arguments that you were giving to companies who were originally holding the data to convince them to participate? So what was the carrot you were giving them in order to make the application work?
Okay, so specifically, we have a challenge with at the end of all the process, even though there were some challenges before, but we got all the data except for one, which is our concessionaire. So they would actually have to be the first ones to share the data with us because we pay them to provide the service and it's our service. So the carrots, I'm not sure. They have a contract that they are obliged to actually follow. So I'm not sure that there should be any carrots given to them. Okay. On the other hand, what we did, because we had issues with them for about 2 years, I guess, there are just so many excuses that you can't even imagine. But what we did, we bought equipment for €500,000 and installed our own equipment in the buses. So we have our own AVLs. And right now they are at the point that they have to sign into 2 different systems, the line systems, their own ones and ours. And what is ironic, that the company, that's the intermediate company that manages the data, manages their own and ours as well. So they have data of the both sets, the same data. So yeah, I think it's more of a reluctance and just not willing to give the data per se. In Slovenia, as it is, there are only 2 companies that have concessions over the public transport. And so it's like not a monopoly, but a duopoly, and they split the country in 2 halves. One covers one half and the other half. And so they don't apply to public tenders. So it's politics.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Polona. I think that we can go now to the next case from the city of Aachen, also a mission city that will explain also how they have been approaching behavioral change. And we have Mariam. So thank you very much for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would really appreciate if we could go through slides quickly because we have quite some and I have to be quick. Well, hello and good morning. My name is Mariam Paknafs. I work in the mobility management of the city of Aachen. I'm going to tell you a little bit about mobility management in our city. Yeah, so I would start it in a very cliche way with a definition of mobility management. Mobility management as a tool for influencing demand for passenger transport. And the aim is to make the transport more environmentally and socially compatible and more efficient. Can you change to the next slide, please? And if you look at it, we have two ways. One way is to make the infrastructure, and the other way, which is the mobility management, is softer measures, which are information, communication, motivation, and coordination. And when we think about these four verbs, then the question comes that who are we going to inform, communicate, and motivate and coordinate for? And the answer is people, or the citizens. Then the questions arise that what do you need? What do you want? What do you need to know? And how can I communicate with you? How can I motivate you? How can I reach you? Where can I reach you? And how can I speak to you? And can you please go to the next slides? A little further. Yes, great. And when we think about citizens, it's not just one group. When we think about people, they are made up of much more smaller groups like visitors, seniors, new residents, parents, university students, school students. And when we think about the questions again that we had, what do you need? What do you want to know? How can I motivate you? And how can I communicate with you? Well, the answers will definitely not be the same. So as you will see in the next slide, the city of Aachen is working on target group oriented mobility management. I'm going to tell you a little bit of some of the target groups that we are working on. So in the next slide, you're going to see mobility management at the workplace. We're analyzing the commuting way of partner companies and institutes and seeing if employees are coming by car to work and going back home, and if there is a potential for them to change to sustainable modes of transport. By giving marketing support, platform networking, and exchange, we talk to these employees when we offer them free test weeks in a way that they can use public transportation, they can use e-bikes, motorcycles, e-cars for free for a couple of weeks and try them and see for themselves if that's something for them that they would consider a change. In the next slide, you see mobility management for children and school students. We aim to make school area and school ways safer, and we want to allow children to have independent and safe participation in traffic. Therefore, we offer them trainings, we offer them school bicycles that school can use to train children how to cycle safely, and we offer them also bicycle parking facilities. Last year, during the European Mobility Week, we tried for the first time school streets. We had a couple of schools in Aachen that were interested in that, so we closed the main street in front of the school entrance for motorized transport in the morning, and we encouraged the teachers, parents, and students to also come on foot, by bus, or by bicycle. We also offer parent stops in a way that parents could stop their cars a little bit further from the door and let the children come the last steps to school on foot. And the other target group that we're working on are families. We have been offering families the possibility to get funds to buy cargo bikes, as well as trailers to be around in the city with their children. If people are not interested in buying one, we offer them cargo bike sharing in Aachen, which is free of charge, and people can register and use it via an app. And people, if they do not feel safe, we also offer them trainings. Another point that we have thought about is contacting people throughout an important contact point. So for example, the to-be parents are informed about cycling through the midwives, and there's a lot of misinformation and prejudices about cycling during pregnancy and with little children. Therefore, this year we offered a workshop for midwives that they could learn about this topic, have an exchange, and also try for themselves different kind of bikes and see if that's something that they would recommend. Another target group that we have are people with immigration background. When we think about the population in Aachen, it's around 30% who have immigration background. We have on average 20,000 new citizens every year, and around 50% of them come from abroad, specifically because we have a big university here and there are a lot of international students. That's a target group that has been forgotten. We tell them what we have in the city, but nobody tells them how the mobility works. Therefore, we have been offering them trainings to see the traffic regulations in Aachen. How does it work? What is the infrastructure in Aachen? What is the difference between different infrastructure? And also let them feel safer to be traffic participants. We also offer them consultations as well as multilingual communication and information. Another target group is the new citizens. As I said, we have on average around 20,000 new citizens every year. The city marketing has been offering a bag that you get when you register your new address in the city, which is about information, cultural events, and voucher for museums. But we have a little bit information on mobility. We have now decided that we're going to provide extra focus information on mobility offers in Aachen, as well as offer them free or affordable trials to try public transportation, e-scooters, or bike sharing, for example, in Aachen, and offer them training specifically considering the number of people that might not be German speakers in different languages. And other target groups are the visitors. So besides offering multilingual communication and information, we have annual big events like an annual horseback riding event in Aachen that is very much loved, and we support them by organizing shuttles, as well as supporting having the public transport tickets being included in the tickets for the event. So all of this being said, for the events, we do not necessarily have a lot of influence, but we are there to support. What we have tried since the beginning of the year, we have bought mobile and foldable bicycle bars that we offer all the events for free, that they can lend it from us and offer parking facilities for the visitors. And last but not least, we have mobility management for constructions and quarters. Since the beginning of the year, we have a new team member who is offering consultations to the construction owners and developing guidelines and parking space regulations, meaning that there are a certain number of parking spaces that have to be built in specific buildings. However, based on the new guidelines, if you offer a mobility concept that could offer possibility to use other modes of transportation other than the car, that could decrease the number of parking spaces that you could build in your building. We're also trying to build Mobilstationen, which are basically mobility hubs connecting different modes of transportation. Well, I'm at the end of the presentation. Just wanted to say that I'm one of the 11 members of the mobility management in Aachen, and happy to hear if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Mariam, for your presentation. It's very interesting to see what Aachen is doing on mobility management. Now, again, time for Q&A. So please feel free to raise any question you may have, or yeah, if you would like to change also a bit with your experience, that's the right moment. If not, yeah, I see a question from Sisi. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone. I'm Cici from Imlecom on Spine Project. So I found very interesting what you're doing with the cargo bikes, especially since, you know, in many countries we can see like a small decline on the use of the cargo bikes, or some companies are closing shared schemes, etc. And we also had a similar thing in Spine, actually, from an operator that stopped. So I was just wondering if you have any elements on how this is going and how receptive are the parents, you know, on using this service, and if you see that it is something that could go on in the future. It's a good initiative to, you know, go towards parents with children to be using that, because it seems for us at least that, you know, other people are not using it so much for groceries and things like that. So it could be a good way to, you know, do this behavioral change on this targeted group specifically. Thank you.
Yeah. I believe in Aachen it is very well received. We have not had a really extended kind of marketing on the cargo bikes, but if I'm not mistaken, we have around 1,000 new registration every month, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a lot of people who are interested, and every stand where we are outside in the city, we always take one of the bikes and we have a QR code on them so that you can already scan it and register. It's pretty well received. We're trying to extend the number of stations that we have because they are station-based and you have to return them to the same station. But I believe that is something for the city that has been well received.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I still didn't have any other question. However, I would like to ask something, Marin, regarding to the way you're targeting the different audiences, because you have been mentioning families, workplace, the people with immigration background, new residents. In terms of approaching this, have you seen like common challenges or barriers, or was it like specifically to each one of the different groups?
Well, I think there is one barrier that is very common, and one of them is communication, and reaching the target group is very hard. And the other thing I believe is, in case of a behavior challenge, is at the fear of change. I think that a lot of us, we are stuck in our comfort zone and we're afraid of trying something new, and I believe a lot of people might not be interested in other modes of transportation because they think that I'm happy with the things how they are. So I think this aspect of it is very hard to change. Communication is very hard. And I also think that the infrastructure itself could also be a barrier because we can, for example, in case of public transportation, we can offer them trials to try public transportation. But if you try it and the bus is late and you're stuck in the rain with no roof, then I don't think you would use it again.
Yeah, definitely. But have you seen like that this target approaches have created an impact so far in the way people is moving or the different target groups are moving? I don't know if you, for example, have like how to say it, a monitoring program to follow the progress on these, or you're also working on that?
Well, for example, for the new project that we have for the new citizens, we have provided surveys to monitor the changes before and after the project. However, it is very hard for mobility management to say that whatever has happened in case of behavioral change is the reason of factor X, because there are a lot of factors that contribute into behavior change.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your presentation, Mariam, and for the interesting activities that you are conducting. I think that we can now jump into the next one, which is the approach that the upper project is following when it comes to behavioral change. And we're very happy to have Juan Gimenez from the Instituto de Biomecánica de Valencia, IBV, who will be doing the presentation. So Juan, thank you very much for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Albert, for the presentation. Next, please. Yeah, we're going to talk about the ARPA project. I work at IBV, so we are partners of this big project. It's a Horizon Europe project with the aim of increasing the uptake of the public transport. So for doing this, the project is going to put the public transport in the center of the mobility ecosystem, optimize the public transport, trigger a behavioral change in favor of this public transport, involve the users, and create an attractive network. For doing this, we are, as I said, a big project. So 10 cities are participating from 8 different countries. We have 5 innovation axes. We have push and pull measures. If you're not familiar with the naming, push are measures that come from up to down, so from administration to citizens. pull and measures that are generated by the citizens' demand. And we have also a family of toolkits in order to support the cities in the implementation of these measures. We have 80 measures, so it's a mean number of measures that a measures per city. Next, please. So this is a map of a summary of the participation of the different regions and cities that are participating in the project. 40 partners, a big budget. As this has been said before in this session, is coordinated by the WTP. And next. And in this push and pull measures that we have identified we identify for the project, some of them have been categorized as behavioral change. Previous, please. So the push measures from our point of view for the behavioral change are communication campaigns, and these pull measures are linked to the participative governance to make the users of the public transport, to involve them in the decision making of the mobility of their city, of the urban area. Next, please. So this is a result that we generated internally, a qualitative result we generated for how we could implement this, which could be the keys for the communication campaigns of the participative governance in our project. So next. Okay. Some of the slides of this. Okay, just now, not before. Okay. So focusing on communication, one of the keys that we identify for communication is saying that the public transport is safety, and the public transport can support the healthy modes and the active modes. For the PT users, the users that are using the PT today, we have to engage with new strategies, for example, for the workplaces, and trying to involve in the participative governance and involving them in the making decision of the cities. And for non-PT users, disincentivation of the use of the private car, and encourage non-PT users to be or to dare to change, to a new mobility modes that are not only the private car. Next, please. This is another result that we generated. This is quantitative. This is what we call a mobility maps, and we can see here on the left, which is this comes from a big survey that we perform in the 9 countries that are participating. And on the left, we can see just a quick photo. We could say that which is the situation in these countries regarding the use of public transport, private transport, and active modes. It's public transport and private transport is balanced. It's nearly 45%. The active modes is nearly 10%. And next. So now we can see here highlighted which are the reasons that the users of the private car that probably are the key element for the behavioral change are saying to employ the private car, and they say mainly that is for the time of the journey and the reliability. And for example, the motorcycle users are saying they have no alternatives, but probably these are key points or improving points for the public transport in order to convince or try to these users to shift. So next, please. So to increase the uptake of the public transport, shifting users from the private car to public transport is an option, but also try to attract new users under the concept of this mobility as a right, offering new services that are covering the needs of special users. Next, please. So this is a summary of the measures that we have identified as behavioral change, and we can see here that for the participative governance, Ile-de-France is working with the stakeholders for defining a new SAMP. Mayhem is working also in participative government, also campaigning for sustainable for sustainable forms of transport. Lisbon is working also in participative government and also communication campaigns, and Leuven is also working in communication campaigns. But as I said before, these are the measures that we have categorized of behavioral change. But behavioral change as it's been said before, is a matter of many topics, we could say. And for example, there are other measures that are implemented in other cities, like multimodality, that are also very involved with the behavioral change, and also, for example, the possibility of the availability of digital twins that give real information in real time, as, for example, the colleague for Crank was saying, are also very important. So behavioral change. But in any case, when we try to review deeply our measures in participative governance and communication campaigns, we see that for participative governance, what is key is try to identify different target groups to select or to better perform this participation. The stakeholder engagement, the stakeholders in mobility must be participating, multimodality and social impact, and communication campaigns, tailored communication for user group, very important. It's been said before also for what has been presented by the colleague from Aachen, multimodality and active mobility, and mobility as a right. Next, please. I am going to present now, or to show you very briefly, the tool that we have developed for the participative governance. Is called U-GOV, because it's the upper tool for the governance. So we have different modules. In the first one, we have a module for managing the participation of users. We have collaborators, and the collaborators are the different profiles of users that can participate, from citizens to stakeholders. We have promoters. The promoters are the ones that are defining projects in this platform. We have here the cities that are participation, or that are interested in performing pilot tests in their cities regarding the participative governance. And we have different blocks. The first one is one that is very similar. The mobility habits is very similar to what has been presented for, I think, for the city also in the different cities. Is information, because we need information to raise awareness of the citizenship about what is the impact, or the ecological impact of their mobility habits. So that's important. Next is the collaboration. We can define different projects to perform with the citizenships, and citizen stories is trying to have social impact, showing the different projects that we have performed with the citizenship. Next slide, please. We have seen here in detail, which is the information that we are presented in the in this platform, trying to show the impact that the personal decision in the mobility has in the ecological performance of the city, we could say, of the area, and also presenting which are the reasons of the different cities for participating in the ABA project. Here is the case of Valencia. Next, please. Here is the tools that the project has, or the platform has, for defining projects. We can define projects in different stages, understanding the problems, ideation, trying to generate solutions for these problems, and when we have developed this solution, try to validate with the citizenships. Next slide, please. This is what a collaborator can, the screen for a collaborator when he gets into the platform. It must be registered, so he can select the projects where he can participate, and there are some filters to classify the different projects, and we can see on the left a map on the different interventions or different projects that are open in the city. Next, please. And finally, these are the citizen stories. This is a blog that we have implemented to address this social impact, when we are giving information about the projects that have been developed in the city with the participation of the citizenship, with the aim of just communicating to the users, to end users and the citizens, that their opinion is important. They are participating in the making decision of the mobility of their city, and that their participation matters. So I have some next, please, some conclusions here about the push and the pull measures that the APA project is developing. Push is focused on communication, pull on the participative governance. Upper is implementing measures in communication and participative governance. But as I said, there are another measures that are very involved also with behavioral change, like multimodality, like for example, having these digital twins that can facilitate that users, for example, that are employing the private care, notice that perhaps what they think that is the time that they take in the mobility is not so different if they are employing alternatives of public transport or active mobility to the cars. If, for example, there are a lot of traffic jams in the city. And yeah, and we have developed a specific tool and a platform for the participative governance. So I think, yeah, my 10 minutes of presentation are finished. So you have any question?
Thank you very much, Juan, for your presentation. I don't know if we have some questions for him. If not, perhaps we can jump into the next block, which is also connected with Upper. It has to do with the replication program. And I will now give the floor to Mircea, the coordinator of Upper, to guide us through it.
Hello. Thank you very much. So I will go through the slides relatively quickly because Juan has kindly already informed you about the project in general, and frankly, I hope most of you have seen what in general what the project is about. On top of that, what we have going on right now, so we're just in the process of starting, is a replication program, which is focused, as you can see on the slide, on sharing our lessons and what we have done already within the project. Why? Because right now we have a lot of the measures that were proposed by the cities, which are effectively deployed, or which are in very advanced stages of deployment. But what we consider to be very important is the learning journey. So how we actually got there. And then for each of the 10 cities within the project, we're creating a replication plan, which is focused on what they have learned, what barriers and drivers for change did they encounter, and what advice they would give to another city that would like to implement similar measures, which means that we are looking primarily for cities who are really interested in implementing such similar measures to be able to foster a discussion and learn from one another. You can go to the next slide, please. So to make it a little bit more specific, what we've done was to look at all of the measures from Upper. And what we did to sort of make it bite-sized, let's say for cities who haven't learned about Upper before, was to design these into 10 thematic areas, which you have in orange on the screen now. So we are asking cities who are interested to select at least one of them when they make their application, meaning that if the city itself is selected, they will need to attend at least one workshop which is focused on a public transport challenge that they're facing. And then, so basically, they need to attend one of the workshops on the thematics, which you see on screen, and they get to ask questions of the Upper cities who are presenting within that specific area. Next slide, please. So timeline-wise, we launched this call in June, right at the very end during the UITP summit. And I want to thank all of the partners who have distributed it via their respective networks. I know that the call for the replication program is available via the Net Zero Cities program. In the chat, I've seen that you have the link already shared as well. So for all of us who will be joining the Urban Mobility Days next week. The call is still open, and one of the things that we'll be able to do there is to further spread the word about our replication program. The idea being that we will then select 10 cities out of the pool of applicants and invite them to attend these workshops as explained earlier. And then the idea is to get the take-up cities to participate in a structured interview to be able to help develop these replication roadmaps. So on the next slide is the single most important one, because it gives you actually the link to where to get more information and apply for this program. It is open to both cities who are part of the mission, but also those who aren't. So please feel free to disseminate as much as possible. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maricia. So, if you're interested on the measures that have been explained by Juan, and some of them are connected to behavioral change, the replication program, it's a great opportunity to continue working on it. So thank you very much, Maricia and Juan, for this. Now we jump into the way the other project of the public transport cluster, SPINE, is approaching behavioral change, and we will do so through the example of the city of Valladolid. And we're pleased to have with us Francisco Benito from the municipality, who will explain the approach that they are following. So Francisco, welcome. Thank you very much for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Civitas, for giving us the opportunity to participate in this interesting webinar about behavioral change. Well, I'm Francisco. I'm working from Valladolid City Council inside of the European programs, and I'm in charge of the SPINE project inside of the municipality, and then I also belong to the mission team transition inside of the City Council. So next slide, please. Our idea to share with you today is start talking about the behavioral change model, how we can deal with that inside of a SPINE project. Also, then we make some framework about our Valladolid mission and the European mission cities, and then talking about the SPINE Living Lab in Valladolid, and with the different measures and actions that we are developing inside of the project. So let's start with the behavioral change model. First of all, I would like to say that we are working in that part of the methodology of SPINE behavioral change and something like that, with the support, obviously, of the SPINE consortium. In our case, we are working close to Cambiamo. That is one of the consultancy mobility firms that are working with us in this point. And they have prepared this slide about the methodology and how we can work with that. The first point here is that we're trying to, based on different data from the performance and how the people in the city use the public transport and they move around the city. The first idea is that try to assess these kind of variables in order to identify the main factor that has a lot of influence in the different ways to move here, no? And this methodology is based on this ordinal logic model that the main goal is trying to identify the dependent variable. In this case, obviously, is the frequency of the use public transport. And with this data, the idea is make a good analysis of the situation, analysis of the data, trying to cross different variables and make different tests in order to get insights about how is the most important insight that we can get here. In the next slide, we can see that obviously the benefit or what is good for us, for the cities, when we use this kind of methodology, is try to identify the main factors that affect to the tribal behaviors. And the idea here is how we can identify this crucial factor that obviously are a lot of influence, because we are, I think that previously in the first presentation has been mentioned that we are inside of the cities and inside of the municipalities. We're really very focused on different infrastructure or different strategy, but it's also that it's important to think about how we can reach the different groups and the different collectives that we need to encourage to use the transport. In our case, we have different conclusion about that. The first is that elderly people is more difficult to encourage and to evaluate that and to get on board of the public transport in our city. And also one important factor that was analyzed here was the different socio-demographic factors, for example, age, gender, and so on, with the importance that they have this kind of factors in the final conclusions here. And in the next slide, we can see several conclusions inside of that. The most important thing here is that satisfaction, and try to increase the level of satisfaction of the user, obviously is really important, but it's not the only thing that we need to be focused on, no? Because all of the different sociographic factors are also with a strong influence in the mobility choices in the city. So it's important for us, like public servants, in order to think about that when we think in satisfaction, we obviously think in punctuality, in reliability of the service. That obviously it's important, but we have to think in another things, no? About the different areas of the city with the different population that we have in different districts or neighborhoods and so on. And we need to try to adapt some policies in that point. So in the next slide, all of this is the method, the base of the method. Try to make the context inside of the local context. Valladolid is a mission city. We belong to the European missions to be neutral climate by 2030. And in this illustration, we try to transmit how we can see the future of the city, you know, and we need to think that our mission in Valladolid is a mission to evolve the city from these colors, red and orange, to these all colors, green and so on. And this is a very simple way to show how we can see the city, but it's the way that we try to read the different citizens when we start to talk about the mission city in Valladolid. No? And when we are in the street talking to the citizens about the mobility, for example, last week with the European Mobility Week, we try to think about that, no? In a very simple starting point in order to advance in more further details here. No? And if we advance, we can see that obviously the mission city, for us, we belong to the neutral climate mission city, but also for the adaptation city. For us, is a only concept, a global only concept, in order to advance with that. No, next slide, please. Yes, in this part left side, you can see that for us, Valladolid mission is the combination of the two European mission, climate neutral mitigation, but also adaptation, because it's the way to transform the city, no? Obviously to reduce the emission, but also to get more green areas and so on. If we advance, and one of the most important factors that we have learned during this process inside of the mission is all of the local context that we need to improve and to go ahead with the mission goals. And this is the concept of ambassadors, to know that the mission climate city contract, we have this Annex 3 with the different local entities supporting the mission goals. In our case, we started the process with more or less 40 local entities supporting the climate city contract. Right now, we are over 180 local entities of different sectors and aspects, public, private, but also in the academia sector, also with the social representatives, citizens, and so on. No? And under this framework and under this context, it's very important to be related to Spain, because Spain, obviously, the main goal is to increase the number of users of public transport, as similar as upper. And in our case, for us in Valladolid, Spain is the most important mission project related to mobility. We have another mission project related to energy, to retrofitting, to construction, and so on, district heating networks. But in mobility, this is our main, our more ambitious project that we have here. No? So we have trying to profit all of this work to get this local network of people, entities, companies interested to to support the mission and to advance with these neutral climate goals. And the idea is based on that, and also based on the result of the behavioral change methodology, we try to identify different target group that we would like to reach, and we need to prioritize in our decisions. No? And well, it is more important. We have highlighted here, for example, local agents related to the regional government, Junta of Castilla y León, that has been really useful for us in order to contact to elderly people collectives, and for example, the academia sector with the university, because it's also an important target group for us. And in the next slide, we try to talk about the different Spain measures that we are developing here related with this target group. First of all, obviously, our living lamp is from the different local entities that we are participating in the mobility of the city, Valladolid City Council, the Agency for Innovation, IDEVA, and obviously the public transport operator, that is Saubasa, that is the company in charge of the buses lanes in the city, and also of the public bike sharing service that we have here, that is called Vicky. But it's also important to mention the Spain consortium in general, no? Because the support in this case, for example, from Cambiamo, but also from other university and other partners inside of the Spain consortium, are helping us in order to improve our measures, our way to reach the different target groups here. No? And we are trying to talk a little about the Spain measures that we are more related to the behavioral change, or we think that are more related with the behavioral change. No? First of all, we can talk about the citizen mobility app. Probably the global objective here could be more similar to the U-GOV application that Juan has explained previously. Some difference here that each city inside of Spain, we are trying to use this app with different objectives. Some cities are more focused on the rewards or the incentive for the citizens or for the users. We are trying to use that like a more fresh communication channel with the users and with the citizens. We are trying to develop different features inside of the app. Right now, we are working with two features. One is the low emission zone information and some online notification when we are entering in the low emission zone, or where you are living, or the time that you are remaining inside of the low emission zone, but also in order to connect with different collectives more with the young people in the city, we have made some contests in order to use the citizen app and trying to explain a little more about Spain. Last Mobility Week, we developed a contest like a gincana with different missions throughout the city in order to reach different target points and to register and track it on the application, and at the end to get a prize for that. Unfortunately, it rained a lot last Friday, so with very limited access to the different tests here and the different missions, and we have to cancel it. But we are trying to reschedule it in the next coming weeks. Next measure that we can talk about is related to these predictive demand tools. Very interesting for us from the technical point of view, because we are trying to enhance our management service inside of the different service of the public transport in the city. For example, we are in some area of the city. We are studying to improve the time stops in the traffic lights and in the final bus lane stops that we have in this area of the city. And we are studying in that area because we have a lot of complaints from the people, from the city, that they have to wait a lot of time and waste time in this part of the area. And we're trying to use different algorithms and predictive algorithms in order to enhance that. Another kind of predictive demands are related to the bike service. For example, we are developing with a provider inside of the Spain consortium related to the to make a digital twin of all of the bike stations in the city. And the idea is that we can advance decision in different bike stations. For example, if we can anticipate that a bike station is going to be run out of electrical bikes tomorrow, we try to improve our internal service in order to have more bikes available in that part of the city. And all of these measures are right now ongoing, so we are expecting for the first demo of the predictive demand tools from October to the end of the year in order to have the final implementation in 2026. And the next slide, please. It's also important for us to share the different, we can call social action that we are making in the context of Spain. Last year, we participated in different events related to the Mobility Week, as similar as this year, more related to the young people. That is the conclusion that we have from the behavioral change model, that we need to also to increase the level of participants on this target group. And also we have shown to the city different adapted bikes from people with some special needs, also for parents and children and so on. And we trying to profit this kind of event, obviously, to get also information, expand different service and so on, in order to make a new decision. And in the next slide, more recently action that we can show to you is related to the elderly people collectives. Here we be in contact with the educational area from the regional government in Castilla y León, that they are in charge of this part of the service from the citizens. And we have an interesting workshop with this collective, explaining the different Spain measures, and also to make some participative action in order to get feedback about some action that we can deploy, we would like to deploy in the next year, related to the way that we report or we inform about the public transport in this kind of social centers for elderly people in the city. And we have an interesting insight thinking about the how we can show the information in the displays and what different elements they think that are more important for them in order to understand better how they can get the different public transport service. And in the last one slide, we can say we can see the different pictures for like we called a pop-up exhibition, that in our case were three concerts in different green areas of the city. We called it a sustainable concert because all of the concerts are thinking about with sustainable measures. For example, we use the public bike service to go to the different points of the location of the concert. Also, we have different spine moments inside of the concerts and different way to transmit information to the citizens. Also, to open the microphone to the people in order to listen about their opinions about the public transport sector and services. And our idea here was try to transmit the message and also to get feedback in a more relaxed atmosphere. No, it's not the same that when we are in a closed room and they listen to us and so on, and we try to make some different event in order to get this information. And I think it's all from my side, but I don't know if Cici is going to present a global slide from a slide in order to see you different measuring other cities inside of Spain.
Yeah, so Albert, should I go ahead? Do you want to ask for any questions? Okay, just
keep in mind
a
we're
wrap
running
up.
a bit of
Yes,
time, so
just to wrap up, it will only take a few a minute because you saw, all the examples that Francisco showed to us. They have been doing a lot of work, and I just wanted to close like with a quick reflection on our general behavioral interventions, because of course, in the project and as you saw as in upper as well, there's not only one intervention, there are multiple ones, and we call them behavioral interventions, but actually a lot could be considered like that. We have outlined here a few so that you can also take some ideas. But what we see across our living labs is that the change cannot come only for one single action. And I think that's quite important. So it requires a combination. We are testing some digital nudges, gamification, awareness campaign, pop-up exhibitions, we call them. And in this way, we try to, reshape the perceptions, but also have some inclusive measures like the adaptive signage that you saw, the multilingual information, and the on-demand services for the vulnerable groups. So within these workshops, the co-creation sessions and everything, we try to build, let's say, the trust and make the interventions a little bit more effective. So I would say that the lesson so far is that, the behavioral interventions only work when they are connected with people's daily realities, incentives, engagement, service improvements, they must go hand in hand. And of course, we should not forget at all the socio-demographic and economic characteristics when we are talking about target groups. We see that this is what is working. So we bring all these approaches and we try to, have some behavioral insights to see how we can drive the real model shift and support, of course, the cities to their measures, paths to climate neutrality and other. So yeah, that's a wrap up from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cici, and thank you very much, Francisco, for presentation. So I don't know if there's any question regarding the work that Valladolid is doing on behavioral change. Okay, well, in this case, I think that we can go to the last presentation that we have today from the city of Tallinn, and we're very pleased to have Karel with us, who will be explaining also the activities that they're implementing as part of the SPINE project. And after this, we will start our group discussion. So, Karel, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Karel Kosa. I'm coming from city of Tallinn, and city of Tallinn is the capital of Estonia. We're up in northern part of Estonia, so we have our own different type of challenges, maybe because of that. And maybe we can start with a presentation now. On my next slide already. Within the SPINE project, there are a couple of things that we are doing. Also, I have to admit that I'm not working with SPINE project. The part that I know better is that we are trying to implement, as we call it, mobility as a service information screens in the city, and test it out, how it works, how can we combine different types of transportation, and how can make the journeys smooth and comfortable for different type of transportation services. So it's one of the things that we are actively trying to implement and find solutions so that the multimodality within the city of Tallinn would really flourish. Although this is something which is just a part of the overall work, since what we are experiencing is Tallinn has been up to 2004. We had like really healthy modal split, but as the prosperity grew, then grew the ownership of cars, and by now we have 75% of our households have car. So we can already say that Tallinn is quite car dependent city, and this is like combat that we have to fight, sort of, to get it the modal split to get it healthy again. So going on to the next slide, maybe here is like the Tallinn has its sustainable urban mobility goals. And we really do hope that most of the city will be taking most of their journeys with the public transport and sustainable modes of transport. And maybe for the city itself, we have to limit the use of personal cars. So we are trying to implement several incentives at once. From my perspective, as public transport development manager, is the most critical things are the overhaul of our ticketing system, with introducing the regional common ticketing system that doesn't separate between different types of transport, etc. So the next thing is, of course, the so-called multimodal hubs that we are trying to implement. Yeah, you can turn the next slide already. And this part where I'm talking about the way that we are kind of approaching to our bus stops and multimodal hubs in Tallinn, and where it has grown from. And we are trying to give this, so to speak, I'm going to go through 2 carrots and 1 stick. So I'm going in the nuances with this one. And of course, this is like I'm talking about bus stops and how we try to approach it. And of course, the part of where we are trying to overhaul our public transport, both service level, the connection times, and our coverage of the city, so to speak, with hub system, the new hubs. So you can put the next slide already on. So what we have been looking is, well, how have we been servicing our area? This is the whole Tallinn with a capital area that you can see on the right side of the screen, where there is a map, and actually the different colors show the different service levels of the public transport system. So there are a couple of areas where we have, so to speak, low demand, low service level. Some areas where we have low demand, high service level, and some areas where everything is like, let's say, low service level and high demand, and of course the high level of service, high level of demand as well. So that's how we were first looking at our public transport service. We analyzed all the almost 3,000 public service stops that we had, and of course tried to find the challenges that we have, or define our goals. And one of the goals that you see here is the mobility equity, because we are trying to look to the public transport stops from the perspective of attractiveness and such areas as well. So we would like to see that it provides equal and distributed mobility services, so everyone has access. So so to speak, that public transport would serve all of us. We need to see the people first. Maybe sometimes the KPIs aren't the best measurement. For instance, in some cases when we are trying to really make most efficient public transport system, so it responds to the demand that we have, is the problem that we leave behind some of the most vulnerable groups, for instance, like mothers with the young children that don't travel in the most congested travel times, etc. So this is something that we looked also. Let's go to the next slide, because I know that we have exhausted our time, so I'm trying to be quick. What we defined is like for our public stop services, we would like to go from 4 different principles, so that the new modality means that now more or less public transport with all those combined options is more and more personal. So you with new modality, you should be able to make your journey the way you most likely would like to, or by your personal preferences. New local is something that we would even say that this is more or less about urban planning, so that the environment would support the choice of your preferred way of travel or way of commuting. Soft markets is something that is the thing that the public transport stops, and to really like so that they would really contribute to our journeys, they should offer some additional services in some cases that you would be that you would see it as a preferred option instead of going with a car, for instance. I don't know, you can have some of your daily things done while on journey, and of course those soft hubs is something that is more about safety, universal accessibility, for instance. Perceived safety is something that seems to be really important, that we don't have any incidents. But if people, let's say young females, don't feel safe in this space where they are going to the public transport stop, or if there is not enough light, or the path there isn't good enough, this is something that we would like to look at. So this is something where we started from. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah, that's actually how we defined how we would like to approach. We defined design principles, etc. So from the perspectives that the standard stop is something where you get your minimal service level. Mobility point already offers more possibilities to kind of take another mode of transport. Attractive stop, it means that the stop is really a place where you could kind of hang out, let's say, and community hub is the ideal thing that it kind of brings the local, let's say, street together. Let's go to the next, because I think I'm talking too much. Okay, the thing now I'm going to so that's about the bus stops, how we approach them. And we would like to see that our future is so that it is like as a network, it works and is attractive. But the other is the stick thing, is that this Metapark study is more or less about our parking policy. And all in all, we have to say that while it's very nice to have really good things and all the options, the most effective way to kind of change the way that people are actually using or actually traveling is actually the punishing methods. So if you are charging for parking, you usually don't want to use your car So then it's more likely that you take your public transport. In all, we looked at all the areas in Tallinn, what sort of spaces we have, what sort of activities are in those areas, and how well these are connected to all the services and geographical areas. You can go to the next one. So after you can go, yeah. After that, we found out that surely in Tallinn, the most well connected, most congested, most of the services are within the city center. But also we defined the areas where our parking policy or charging for parking will be developed or is developed actually, and how our parking system will evolve. So in principle, this nice star actually represents the most well connected and served areas of the city where we can expand our parking restrictions. So that's the other thing that is actually, we actually looked where the public transport connections are, where are the office spaces, where the demand is, and where the problems are. You can go to the next slide. And now this is the part of the SPINE project. We actually tried to investigate our e-cargo bike sharing structure. This is a survey that we have conducted and actually tried to see what it looks like. The problem with Tallinn is that actually the uptake of cycling in Tallinn in comparison to our close neighbors, let's say Helsinki, Stockholm, Copenhagen, is much lower and doesn't even reach our most modest expectations for cycling to be kind of cycling share of cycling of the city. So for this we tried this e-cargo bike sharing experiment, as well as trying to see what the behavioral expectations for the citizens are. Next slide, please. The thing is that we conducted a survey that was in different sections, trying to understand the reasoning behind the different kind of attitudes towards the cargo bike, and also it was surveyed kind of experiment triplet kits and readiness to rent a cargo bike for carrying parcels and groceries. So now we can go to the final slide, which actually says that first when I looked at it, it seemed like really, if you look at the top two of those, or actually top three, because the yellow is that don't apply. Under the kind of shown answers, it says that more or less readiness to use cargo bike as a rental service is for 5 to 15% of respondents. It seems to be an option that they are really willing to take. So at first glance, it seems really few or small percentage of the citizens are willing to uptake the cargo bike for their daily operations. But from the second point of view, you can see that it's about 10 to 15% of the citizens that are actually willing to change their current mobility behavior. So in this, from this perspective, it actually seems quite nice. And I'm now stopping my presentation. Thank you for your time. And if there's any questions, I'll try to elaborate.
Thank you very much, Karel, for your presentation on the activities that you're doing in Spain, but not only. I don't know if we have any question for Karel on what Tallinn is doing. Okay, well, if not, then thank you very much again. And I think that now we can go towards the next part, which is the group discussion. We will have 10-15 minutes more or less to go through some topics that we would like to discuss a bit with you. And since we are quite a few, we thought about doing it through Menti, at least to start a bit the discussions. My colleague Maxi is now sharing the link on the chat, so if you can go there and put the code to start participating, it could be great. I think, Maxi, that you will be also sharing the screen, right, with the two questions. Okay, so we would like to structure it around two questions. The first one that you can see here in the screen is what behavioral change measure has worked in your city. I know that the audience is quite I think that if you can put here in the chat some comments. We know that audience, we have people from local authorities, we have companies that are working with local authorities. So here we would like to open the scope to all participants, and then based on this we can start having the discussion. So I would encourage you to put the code and to type which is according to you the measure that has worked in your city, and then based on this we can perhaps think why it has been working. Well, I see that we have answer already. Okay, so I see that we have communication campaigns, incentives for public transport, listening. So far, only restrictive measures. So I think that here we come with the stick. Communication again, awareness, free public transport, punctuality, the citizen app. I would like to give the floor perhaps to some of you who wrote something in the Menti. I said we have civil response around communication, 3 incentives, 3 public transport. Anyone that would like to explain more in detail one of those? Okay, again, we're a bit shy, perhaps.
Okay. Albert, I sent the comment of the free public transport that was applied here in Valencia after pandemics, because during pandemics there was a big reduction of the use of public transport. Of course, it couldn't be used. But I think it was very interesting to recover the use of public transport, and very interesting because it was for younger people. If we want to work on a behavioral change, perhaps we have to try to train people in the use of the public transport and give them the opportunity of experience the mobility through the public transport, in order that they can select this option as a first option before, for example, a private vehicle, and if it's cheaper for them, so it's perfect.
Yeah, indeed. And did you see like a positive reaction from this audience in the city of Valencia when there was adoption?
It was for free, so the young people was moving by public transport. Yeah, of course.
That's good. Mariam, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I had a question regarding one of the answers that is basically incentives, which is for us very interesting. What are the incentives exactly that have worked well? And how are they financed?
Yeah, I think that we had a concrete answer on incentive, more detail rather than general. But yeah, I don't know if there's anyone here in the audience that has implemented incentives so far and that could answer to that question. I don't know, Carol, I knew that you raised your hand before, but I don't know if you would like to tackle on this point or on something different, or if not, Esther.
Yes, well, in the city of Leuven, we have free bus passes for all of the children up to 12 years, and they're well used. In the whole Flemish region, we have cheap bus passes for the elderly people, and they also use the bus quite often, or it's being well used. We have some cheap or free bus tickets in the city, but we're experimenting with it. We did some street surveys this summer to see if the visitors to the city of Leuven would be interested in a cheap bus ticket for events. So we asked the visitors who came by car if they would buy a cheap bus ticket, and the majority of the people were interested. So we are planning on implementing that in 2026. And what we also did was we had an experiment with free car share and free bicycle share for certain social groups in certain neighborhoods. So people could experiment with it, and it was also quite popular. So we are also looking into social rate for shared mobility.
And
Sorry,
when it comes, yeah, go ahead.
Can I just also ask regarding what you said? How are these financed? So make it possible to have free
The
power?
city is financing it. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
one major issue at this moment. We're still waiting on the available budget for mobility. So depending on the budget, we're able to offer it next year, but we finance it ourselves. Yeah.
So, for example, the bus company or public transport company is not contributing.
Well, they offer a kind of discount or a specific price for cities, yes, but it's still quite well for the free bus passes, because it's for all of the children in the city. It's quite inexpensive. But if we want to offer free tickets, for example, for the event tickets, then it's quite expensive. I think we pay €2.50 per ticket at the city. So
Okay, thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
you're welcome.
No, actually, I was about to ask also on the funding component, so I think that this was more or less covered. Carol, I see your raised hand also. Hi, we cannot hear you. You are muted.
Sorry, I wanted to comment on the free public transport, since Tallinn is the city that has implemented free public transport for its citizens. And it's since 2012 or 2013. Sorry, I don't remember exactly. The thing was that we had higher ridership thanks to free public transport. But the thing is, where this race come from, mainly at that time, was that people started to take more one-stop journeys that didn't make any sense when you had to buy the ticket, because it's like a couple of minutes walk. So it actually hampered the health of the city, so to speak. The other thing is that what we have found, of course, is like that our actual friends for that are the kind of preferred bus lanes, stuff like that, together with congested traffic. So when it becomes inconvenient to use the car, then actually the uptake of public transport appears. So at least in our case, and of course this also means that we need to look at the way the environment for your journeys is designed. So this is something that is really important, and in some cases this free public transport has given us a a lot of additional kind of challenges. Let's say that it's more challenging to develop your transportation, public transportation system, and to make it more demand responsible, so to speak. You can always say that take it as it is, since you get it free. The thing with let's say transportation also is that that combining the, let's say, making a common ticketing with a metropolitan region is challenging, since we have this free public transport that is politically impossible to reverse, and so forth. So this comes with several other complications, so to speak. But yeah, what we have found is that when you improve the service, and when the kind of the journeys with other modes of transport become more inconvenient, then actually the public transport starts to work better. Even with, let's say, I don't know, the way if you move the car parking further away from the convenient area for the shopping, let's say, then the public transport is like starting to be more preferred. So this is something that we need to keep in mind. It always comes with, at least from our perspective, it seems to be that it comes with also the city planning.
Indeed, city planning, and as you were saying, improving the service to make it definitely more attractive. I also see that going back to the point that we were discussing later on how to finance these incentives, I see a comment from Mircea in the chat that's saying that in many cases it's the bus concessionary tickets who are paying for that are being paid for the city already on this matter. I think that from what we can see in the screen, and Maxi, I remember that you gathered them before by categories. I think that it's mainly based on incentives, communication activities, and actions directly connected to public transport, that we can more or less gather this type of behavioral change measures that worked in the cities that are present here. Perhaps we can go to the next question if we still have time. Very quickly, which would be the type of support that you believe your city would need to accelerate this behavioral change. And again, you can use the money, very big, as I think that we could all have imagined this. And let's see if we have some other things that are needed. And if anyone would like to further elaborate on this, it's so big that it's actually out of the screen. But yeah, if someone would like to jump in and express perhaps more in detail how to structure it, if it's funding from the city or if it's also needed from other different layers, regional, national, European. I also see reliability. Disincentivize the private vehicle. True. Regulation. And how to reach collectives. I think that this one is very interesting also from what we've heard today from Ashen, in the way they have been targeting different groups successfully. Both politicians, so support from local authorities. Yeah, I think that it seems quite clear that money and reliability are highlighted the most. I don't know if any one of you would like to explain one of those more in detail. If not, I think that we can perhaps wrap up, unless anyone would like to say anything else. Okay. Well, in this case, I think that we can wrap up the session. So first of all, thank you very much for having had all the participants here today, and specifically for all the speakers that I think have brought like different perspective on behavioral change. So resources that cities can have from, for example, net zero cities with this learning program, but also different experiences from different cities, like the action approach to different target groups, or Crunch with the mobility as a service application, the behavioral change approach of Upper with U-GOV, and also the examples from Valladolid and Tallinn in Spain. I just would like to make some quick reminders. The first one has to do with the Urban Mobility Days. I think that all of you know it, that it's taking place next week in Vilnius. So it will take place from the 3rd of September to the 2nd of October. And I hope that we're going to meet there. For the coordinators, dissemination, and evaluation managers, just a quick reminder that even if the event starts the 30th of September, the day before, 29th of September, we're going to be meeting already, having meetings around the different projects, but this is just for coordinators, dissemination managers, and evaluation managers. And then we also wanted to bring to your attention some opportunities that might be of your interest. First of all, the Raptor program that we have at the Urban Mobility. We're currently looking for 15 cities that have a challenge and that would like to solve it by testing innovations. It's a quite agile project that in generally 6 months it's implemented, and we managed to put together a city with a challenge together with an organization that wants to test something innovative. We are looking for cities, as I was saying. In the next slide, you can see the timeline, so we can receive applications until 15th of October. You can either contact me or my colleague Maxi, or the email that you see here in the screen. It's a good also opportunity to perhaps solve some of the challenges connected to behavioral change that have been discussed today. And then another thing that we could like also to highlight here, since it's the public transport cluster, is a roundtable that it's taking place as part of the EMET project, an Interact project. It's a roundtable for PTOs and PTAs around procurement processes and eco-driving practices. So we want to understand the challenges and issues that are connected to these two topics. Also topics related to sustainable requirements that are being included in the procurement processes, topics related to charging infrastructure. So this will be happening around end of September and throughout October, depending on the availability. Again, if you're interested to take part of it, just let me know, or my colleague Maxi, or you can also contact my colleague Rose through the email that you can see here on the screen. And I think that's it. Again, thank you very much for having been with us this morning. I hope that you found the conversation insightful. And yeah, we will be sending the recording relatively soon. I don't know if we'll be able to do it today, but definitely throughout the week, we're going to be sending the recording. If you have any question, any doubt, feel free to reach out directly to any of the speakers that we had today, or you can reach out to us and we're going to put you in contact with them. And yeah, with this, I wish you a very nice day, and I hope that I can see you all in next week in Vilnius for the Urban Mobility Days. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.